Justin Haskins is with us. He's the executive editor of the Heartland Institute, somebody who has been on my radar for quite a while. And I went up to CPAC, and I intentionally tried to sneak in on a panel and watch him. Unfortunately, it was a smaller room, and so he saw me, and I hope I didn't throw you off at all, but you were fantastic.
Thank you. You're very sneaky, by the way.
Am I? Yeah.
You are really sneaky.
But you were truly fantastic.
Thank you very much.
And so we've talked several times, and I wanted to have you on today. And you're part of the special that we're talking about on socialism, because you have a book out that is, what is it? Socialism is Evil.
Yeah.
Right?
Easy title to remember.
Yeah,
that's what I was shooting for.
It's pretty, I mean, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. And also, you are with StoppingSocialism.com, and I think we talked about this years ago on the air when you said you were doing something, or maybe I just talked about it.
I think you just imagined this.
Really?
But yeah,
I think I might have just talked about it.
Maybe,
on the air, maybe.
Very well, maybe. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, okay.
You did talk about it.
Yeah, and you were just a guy who was, you were a student, I think, at the time, and you were wanting to put up.
Yeah, this is something I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. And so the past, really with the rise of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders, I realized something absolutely had to be done right away. Like, we couldn't wait any longer. The country is going to disappear in 10 years if we don't do something right now.
Yeah, I don't know if we have.
So naturally, I made a website because,
right.
that saves the world. That's
well, you know what? But I tell you, getting the word out about socialism, because, I was thinking about it last night, and I talked about it in hour one. And please, if you have children, please listen to the podcast today. You can listen to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Just look for the Glenn Beck Program podcast and listen to hour one, because I talk about how socialism is truly evil. I've tried to ban that word from my lexicon. I don't want to call people evil. I don't want to, but this is truly evil.
Yeah, there's no question about it at all. And I think one of the primary things that I wanted to get across to people, especially young people, is that this isn't just about economics. Economics are important, but it's not just about economics. This is about morality. Even if you could create a society where you had socialism and it was actually effective and people weren't, killing zoo animals to survive, which is how it always ends up. It wouldn't matter, because you would still have a highly immoral, evil system that imposes.
Why is it? Because it's easy to make the case that socialism is moral, because you just want to feed people. You just want to help people. You want to make sure everybody has a job. You want to make sure that everybody has health care. So it's easy to make that it's moral. How do you make the case that it's evil and immoral?
I think that the chink in the armor for younger people, reaching younger people, is that younger people want to say that they support diversity. That's like the worst thing you could say about someone who's my age, is that they're a bigot or that they don't support diversity. The problem with socialism is that you can't have diversity in socialism. It is impossible. It is literally tyranny of the majority. That's what socialism is.
Especially democratic socialism.
Yes.
Voting in slavery by majority rule does not make slavery just. It makes it slavery that you voted for.
That's right. Yeah, I think Benjamin Franklin said democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what to have for dinner.
Yes.
That's exactly what the situation is here.
Yes.
And so if you're a religious minority or in society, or you're a moral minority in society, and eventually everyone is a minority in society ideologically in some fashion, it doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't, in a socialist society, it doesn't matter what you want. All that matters is the collective. Collective becomes God. They decide what's right. They decide what's wrong. They decide which direction we should move in. If they decide we're going to have abortion, then we're going to have abortion. If they decide that we're going to have physician-assisted suicide, then that's what we're going to have. And
if they decide we're going to round up Japanese, we'll round up Japanese.
Exactly.
They decide we're going to have slavery, we will have slavery.
And if you oppose it, it doesn't matter. And not only does it not matter that you don't oppose it, you have to pay for it. You have to be a part owner of it.
This is what's crazy is, the people don't like capitalism because they think that capitalism is so evil because it does all of these things. but you're not forced to buy stock in Exxon or to buy gasoline or to buy whatever it is you don't like. And if it's truly immoral and hurting people, killing people, whatever it is, if it truly is a detriment, you can work through the government to get those things corrected. There is a police officer to run to. But if that system is taken away, all those capitalistic tools are then just brought into the government. So now you have to own it. You have to be a part of it. You cannot call the police because the police are part of it.
Yeah, we were talking about this with Medicare for All just a minute ago. I mean, how many people are employed by the medical insurance industry right now? If you were to get, basically what they're arguing is we're just going to get rid of all these insurance companies. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people at minimum that would be out of work and what would just now go apply at the government and hopefully work there. And we insurance companies can be a pain in the ass. There's no doubt about it. But imagine going to the government with your complaints.
Right.
It would be much, much worse.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And it's not just with healthcare. That's the thing that we tend to focus on the most. But it's not just with healthcare. Look at the Green New Deal. Look at what they're trying to do with the Green. I mean, literally, the Green New Deal, the plan is, this is the plan. Let's destroy millions of jobs. And let's just create a bunch of new government jobs. And then the government's going to take care of you from the womb to the tomb. That's the plan. And it's crazy that anybody actually thinks it's a good idea to get rid of millions and millions and millions of jobs in the fossil fuel industry. Yeah. Across the board, gas stations. How would any of this work? They're just going to get rid of millions of jobs overnight.
Right.
Well, that's what they do. That is what socialists do when they take over. They have to destroy the people who are against it or who have run it. So you don't ever have experts running things because they're usually in the gulag or they're dead. Farming. When I heard Elizabeth Warren come out and say, we've got to break up big farms, my first thought was, wait a minute, that's food. And while I am a small rancher and I own a small farm and I live in a community of very small farmers who do have to compete with these industrialized farms, you know what? As much as I don't like government giving bailouts and everything else to these government farms, let's not shut them down because you got nothing to replace it with. And that's what happens in country after country after country. They immediately go after these big farms and the farmers. They usually kill all of them.
Right.
And then the people who have no idea what they're doing go in and try to farm, and everyone starves to death.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? The government doesn't actually know how to manage any of these things that they want to regulate.
None of it.
But they're always talking about Again, the thing that I talk about all the time with younger people especially is look at the Postal Service. Look at Amtrak. That's just delivering mail and running the trains. That's it. And they can't do those things without losing billions and billions of dollars. Shouldn't you have to at least learn how to deliver mail without losing $3.9 billion before I put you in charge of the healthcare industry, which is like 13% of GDP?
Right.
I mean, but they are so convinced that this is a form of charity that they don't care about the efficiency. That's why you have to make a moral argument against it too.
But here is the amazing thing. And Justin, you did such a great job at taking the Green New Deal apart and talking about, look, if you really believed this, why would you be talking about most of this stuff?
Right.
But if you look at the new Green Bill, in the actual bill, it talks several times about its goal is to flip our economic system to a system of environmental and economic justice or social justice. So in it talks about its main goal is to shut down capitalism and the free market.
Right.
And nobody's talking about it. It's like, wait, you're writing that down.
Yes, they're not hiding it.
No.
I mean, this is I mean, I've been calling it a socialist Trojan horse. It's not even really a Trojan horse.
It's just right there.
It's just there. They're saying, hey, this is socialism. You guys want it or what? The reason it's sort of a Trojan horse is because the media won't tell people the truth about it. They don't talk about those elements of the Green New Deal. They only talk about the saving the planet part.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to talk about the rest of it because the rest of it is crazy communistic,
Right.
Crazy
authoritarian
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, it's authoritarianism.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't
it
even
really
have to
is.
talk about. We should stop using maybe the word communism and socialism and just start using the words authoritarian, because
statism.
that's what it is. It's statism and authoritarianism. And people get caught up on socialism. No, that's not what we mean. Well, it doesn't matter what you mean. What matters is what they mean and what they write down. And it is authoritarian in its plans and stated goals. Back in just a second with Justin Haskins. He is the executive director of the Heartland Institute. You can follow him on Twitter at Justin T. Haskins. Also, his website, stoppingsocialism.com and heartland.com. So, Justin, I want to talk to you a little bit about an article that you wrote about social media and Facebook. With this in mind, I made the decision. This special took us, I can't even tell you how many thousands of dollars this has cost us in 2 months of labor, and all the man hours. And I made the decision to do it for free because I wanted the biggest audience possible. This word has got to get out. And we make a very good case tonight, as you will see, that we're on the edge, man. This is it. I mean, we're up to a place to where it's like 1 o'clock. It's closing time. So I said, let's put it out for free. We're going to, no commercials in it. It'll run 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours. It'll be on Facebook. It will be on YouTube, and it will be on BlazeTV. While I'm rehearsing, I hear the producers all talking to the legal team. And the legal team is saying, you can't play that, or YouTube is going to flag you. We're going to be flagged like 50 different times tonight because of fair use. We take news clips and things and we use them. That's fair use. They're not targeting everybody else. They're targeting Steven Crowder is about to lose his YouTube page. The Blaze could lose its YouTube page for fair use. How can you have a mass audience if Netflix gives history to the Obamas, YouTube makes sure that you are silenced if you're on the right, and you can't get a mass to come behind a paywall? Because people really don't even know what you're doing unless they've subscribed. How do you do it? What are we facing?
Yeah, it's an existential threat to liberty. Facebook, 43% of U.S. adults get news on Facebook. And Facebook is the third most trafficked website in the entire world. And so they're controlling a huge amount of information. And when you add them with Google and you add them to YouTube and all of the others and Twitter and everything else.
And they're all the same.
Right. We're all, these people, these companies are all being run by socialists or by people who lean very heavily in that direction, at least progressives. And they want to silence us. They absolutely do. And so how do you reach that audience? How do conservatives reach that audience? It is extremely difficult to do, to reach regular people. I think we're at a point now where this needs to become a grassroots movement to try to push push social media companies to actually allow free political speech.
Don't think they're going to do it.
To be honest with you, I don't think they are either. I think it is the most significant threat that we're facing right now. Because
I think we are so close. I mean, the one thing that they have to do, a socialist country must silence dissent.
Yes.
And they're so close to it now. I mean, they can silence pretty much anybody and everybody yawns.
That's right.
And it is, as I sat there and I said, no, we are not cutting those pieces. I don't care what YouTube says. We cannot cut those. How can you make the point if you can't show the film of those people saying and doing those things. And it's maddening. It's maddening. We are headed for insanity. Please, I ask you that you watch this tonight. It is on Facebook. It is on Twitter, YouTube. And it is on our platform, BlazeTV.com. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you're a fan, I don't care if you don't like me, you just love Steven Crowder, subscribe. Steven Crowder is about to lose his YouTube page, and the Blaze will not be far behind. Please subscribe. Join us tonight for free, and if there's anything of value, great, subscribe. If there's nothing of value, then don't. You can even sign up now and cancel your subscription tomorrow if there's nothing of value. But please help protect voices that are being silenced. Go to blazetv.com/Glenn. If you use the promo code GB20OFF, today, you're going to save 20%. GB20 off. blazetv.com/Glenn. I'm just, we're sitting here with the executive editor of the Heartland Institute. You can find it at heartland.org, and stoppingsocialism.com, Justin Haskins. How old are you, Justin?
I am 31 years old.
31. And we were just talking about his video, going to campus. And what were you talking to people on your video?
We actually went to Students for Liberty's annual conference, me and Donnie Kendall, who does these presentations with me. It was a presentation called Socialism is Evil. Mm-hmm. And we gave this presentation at this LibertyCon in Washington, D.C. And it was just we took a video clip of the last 3 minutes of it, of me giving a speech saying, hey, socialism is evil. Don't go this way. This is going to be a disaster. And we put it on Facebook.
And a lot like what I saw you do in Washington,
very
D.C.
similar.
Yeah,
yep.
Very funny, fact-driven.
Right. It was, and people loved it. It was great. We got a great reaction for it. Put it on Facebook, put it on all sorts of social media, tried to advertise it on Facebook. And when I did that, I suddenly, without any warning, got banned from Facebook. Not my account, but the advertising account. Totally and completely banned.
You cannot advertise at all on anything in Facebook.
For 2 months after I appealed it 7 times, couldn't get anything reversed, couldn't get an explanation for what it was until the very end. They told me, hey, your ad was misleading. It was basically in the same category as diet pills and things like that.
What was your ad saying?
The ad was literally just a 3-minute clip of the end of the speech. That's
Which
all
is just saying that
socialism is evil. Don't go that direction. Support individual liberty. There was nothing in it that was even remotely offensive or anything like that. They didn't like that, so they shut my account down. I wrote an article about it. It was published, and a couple media outlets picked it up. And then the next day, after 2 months and 7 or 8 appeals, Facebook said, oh, it's just a mistake. We'll fix it. Don't worry. And so
they placate. They only pay attention when it catches enough attention.
Right.
They're eating all at the edges right now. But soon as they can eat all of those edges and they're gone, they'll start going after the big guys. And I'm seeing this. Steven Crowder. I mean, we are now number 2 behind Fox. The Blaze.com is now number 2 behind Fox in all conservative media. That's astounding. Now, the gap between us is huge, but still we're the next in line. They are now going after Steven Crowder. They're going after, I think I've been flagged, 50 times in the last week. Steven Crowder he's on his 3rd strike now. And I'm not sure he's going to keep his YouTube platform. That is gigantic for Steven Crowder, because that's where young people get their entertainment. They're not watching news. They're not watching Fox. They're not watching cable. They're not watching television.
Right.
They're watching YouTube. And I honestly, because we had the attorneys yesterday going over, the show as we were in rehearsal yesterday. And they were saying, got to cut this, got to cut this, got to cut this. And I'm like, no, we're not going to. It's fair use. And they said, you could be flagged. We could be taken off in the middle. Steven Crowder was taken off in the middle of the broadcast.
Yeah. No, it's terrifying. And they're terrified of Steven Crowder. frankly.
Yes.
And
Yes,
they're
they are.
terrified of people like Steven Crowder because they know the only way we turn the ship around is to reach young people.
Yes.
And they don't want us reaching young people.
Correct.
And so that's our only hope. I mean, we're on the edge of the cliff. And the only chance of surviving, literally the only chance, is to go and talk to young people and to explain to them why this has never worked, why 167 million people over the last 100 years have been imprisoned or exiled or murdered by socialist and communist parties. They don't want that message getting out. And so they will do anything to stop us from reaching younger people. And that's exactly why they're going after people like Steven Crowder and other young people like that, because they don't want that message getting out to them. And they know that people like Steven Crowder can sit down in a room with these people and have a conversation with them in a way that someone who's 50 or 60 years old can't do. It's just not the same. Younger people relate to younger people, and they know that. So they're terrified, and they're trying to silence people like that.
Tonight's message, I'm painting a very accurate picture, I believe. But we're using a document that we found that was written around 1950. And it was written by a communist historian in Czechoslovakia of basically how we did it. And it was smuggled into the United States from behind the Iron Curtain and then lost for years. And nobody paid attention to it. And you look at it, it is 5 steps to it. I mean, it's very detailed in those 5 steps, but the 5 broad steps, they flipped Czechoslovakia, which was a very successful, thriving, successful economy, free market, freedom of, conscience and freedom of speech, all of those things. It survived Nazism. It comes back. It starts thriving. And they do this in 3 years. They flip it authoritarian socialist. And this is how they did it. And we're looking at it. All 5 steps are being done. We're there. Last night after rehearsal, because we've been in this for so long, and last night I finally got all of it together and started rehearsing all of it together. And I got to the end of it, and I was overwhelmed with, we're there. It's no longer time for people to go, well, I'm not sure where I said. No, this is it.
Yeah,
this thing could flip overnight.
Absolutely. We were talking during the break about how polling shows among younger people, support for capitalism in 2010 was 68%, said that younger people, 18 to 29, said they have a favorable view of capitalism. In 2016, that had dropped all the way down to something like 57%. So it would dived by like 11 points. And now in 2018, when they did the same poll, same exact survey, same exact pollster, everything, it's now down to 45%. This is a death spiral. Younger people have completely abandoned capitalism because they don't really understand what it is.
Yeah, and because at the same time, the same people who say they're for socialism, when you talk to them about the free market or entrepreneurs, what are the numbers?
Yeah, they're much higher. They're almost 90%.
90.
Right.
Capitalism is 48%, 90% for the free market. Well, what the hell is the difference? That shows nobody knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, nobody knows what they're talking about. And it's because socialists and left-leaning people, progressives, have been running the education system in the country since really the 1960s, beginning in the 1960s going forward. And people are completely ignorant about the history of socialism. In my generation, I don't remember the fall of the Berlin Wall. I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No, of course not. I was born in 1987. I don't remember that. And so my generation doesn't remember Mao. It doesn't remember Ukraine. Doesn't remember the Iron Curtain. Doesn't remember any of that. We weren't around for it.
May I recommend one of the best ways to catch up on the history of the fall of the Berlin Wall is the movie Atomic Blonde, starring
It's a documentary, right?
It's an incredibly important documentary, and I encourage
It actually,
everyone to watch
if you watch it and you're my age,
it's so
it
good.
is so good because it's like a time machine. It just captures that time period so well. And you're like, oh my God, I forgot all about that. I forgot what that was like.
I showed up for Charlize Theron, but really wound up really enjoying the movie quite a bit.
Yeah, I did too. I showed up for you put her in a bathtub and
Right.
and even ice and all bruised. I'm still like, okay, all right, I'm okay.
But that was actually really solid
Really
movie.
solid
And I think
movie.
there is that gap of people just don't even remember it. I mean, we were talking about this. People who were born for this last election, have no memory of not only the Soviet Union, which is now an old observation, but 9/11. They have
Right.
no memory of 9/11.
They
People
don't know
who are
what we
voting
were.
in 2020, 18-year-olds will not be alive. I know I'm doing a lot of math here for you. Will not have been alive when 9/11 occurred.
When somebody says "Make America Great Again," they can't relate to that because America has always been post 9/11. Think of that. That's not America. We put the Patriot Act in.
Right.
That's not America. It's not what I'm fighting for.
Yeah.
I don't want a world where we have secret courts and all of that stuff. That's not who we are.
Yeah, that's all I remember. That's literally, that's been my whole life. I mean, the first president I remember is Bill Clinton. And after that, it's George Bush, it's Barack Obama, it's big government all the way down. It's spying on your neighbors. It's all kinds of things that it's the Republicans fighting with the Democrats to try to be a little less progressive. I mean, that's where
what it
we're
is.
at. I mean, can we rein in the progressiveness a little bit?
Right.
I mean, that's it.
Right.
I mean, there's very few people, not no one, but there's very few people in Washington championing freedom in any
Very
real
few.
sense.
Very few.
Very few.
Very few. So you're looking at the situation, and I think one of the last signs is, and this is something I talked about when I was at Fox when you were, 4, and I said, they want to tell you they're socialists. They're proud of it.
Yeah.
They want to tell you about Marx. They believe it. And one of these days, they're going to take their masks off because it's going to be okay. And they want to tell you. We're there. But that's the place I described as endgame. When they take the mask off, they believe only their arrogance could collapse them. They may have misjudged how many people are behind them. How many people, do you ever hear from Democrats that are, or young voters who usually would vote for Democrats that are saying, whoa, these guys are scary. They're a little too far.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Oh my
but
gosh,
the reason why I think is partly because they don't really believe it. When we tell them, here's what they support. Look at this bill. Look at this provision. What do you think this means? And they'll say, oh, no, that's not what they mean. What they really mean, I know that's what they're saying, but that's not what they mean. What they really mean is they want us to be like Scandinavia. That's what they want. They want us to be like Norway and those kinds of countries.
But what they're proposing is not like Norway.
That's right. But if you listen to Bernie Sanders, you're going to have a totally different perspective.
The guy, well, you can't relate. I was going to say the guy took his honeymoon in the Soviet frickin' Union. I mean, that guy, we should not be listening to him about good times. Justin Haskins, executive editor of the Heartland Institute. He'll be on our special tonight. Thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thanks for all you do. You can follow him, stoppingsocialism.com, also heartland.org, or his Twitter account is Justin T. Haskins.